All right, everyone. It's another Friday, which means it's time for the Q&A with Alan and Marshall show. I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way, and we have a guest.
And we've got somebody with us. Who is that, Alan?
Mr. Rapolsky. Oh, wait. We have the illustrious Brian Walker, and he has many companies, but it's RTP Apparel. Brian, what's the Viper? iGroup Technologies, which makes the Viper pretreatment. He has Viper pretreat material, and I have known Brian for what else, Brian? And you're doing OEM inks.
Image Armor. Image Armor does all of the pre-treatments, inks, and the sort of chemical supply side.
Yep.
iGroup is the machine side for pre-treat machines.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically the RTP Apparel, plus a whole bunch of other side projects.
So I have known Brian since he was 18 years old. Little boy.
Knee-high to a grasshopper.
So we're all good screen printers and gurus in this industry are. We were in the major city of New Philadelphia, Ohio, which is about 20 miles south of Canton, Ohio, where the Football Hall of Fame is. And that's someplace you go once when you live there and never go again. I was there in 87, have not returned. But you know what? Brian was an entrepreneur before that word became fashionable. I was lecturing at the high school there on screen printing, and a teacher by the name of Joe Pry, had me in just talking about basically screen printing, what it was. And they showed me some work of multicolor, and it was, for a high school kid, it was good. And it was Brian Walker who was not in that class. And you learn, Brian, by books in the library, how to do it, builds his own press in his parents'
presser's book.
Oh, it was a wood press with hinges, but it was a 4-color press.
Which press was it? Was it Scott Fresner's?
No, I just built one.
No,
I had wood.
The book.
I don't even remember right now. It wasn't Scott's. I think I just researched all the way back to the Chinese and how they did stuff and all that. But
Albert Kozloff's book had to be in there, and whatever New Philadelphia Library had at that time.
Yeah.
Before computers. But then I was with a distributor, so just kept in touch with him. He goes to college and becomes an engineer and works for a small, tiny company called, can I say the company? Are we allowed?
I've had a very sordid past here. You gotta be careful.
Solo Cup you worked for is what I remember.
Solo Cup. Yeah, actually as a distribution analyst.
Yeah, logistics analyst. And then moved back to New Philadelphia, Ohio, and started the business. And I was with Easy Way.
I actually kept it going. If you remember, it wasn't Sportstown. Downtown New Philly had a small little sports store.
Clark's.
That's sort of where I got my start with the transfers. Who?
Was that Clark's?
No. That was Clark's was over in Dover.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't matter, but whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But that's where I sort of got started doing the screen printing in actually kind of high school, and then carried that through.
Was that the one King Schaefer owned?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So you can tell we're from the same little town. I'm not from there. I moved there in '85 as a 19-year-old from Detroit, and believe me, I thought I was in stinking Mayberry, Hooterville. It is on the edge of the largest Amish population in the country, and
good,
but it's quiet.
It is quiet.
All right.
All I heard were trees.
Let's
Brian was an entrepreneur back then.
That's good memory lane stuff.
Yep.
But I think we need to talk about some other things for the show.
Agreed.
So got some folks watching, so we want to say hello. So thank you so much, Charles, for watching. Happy Friday. And Ghost is watching from Sweden, so appreciate you as always.
From Uppsala, Sweden. Brian,
watching from Canada. So right there's 3 countries So,
and Atlanta.
Sean's watching from Alpharetta, Georgia, which is his own country. So I guess that's like 4, right? Yep. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you haven't said hello yet, please sign in and say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Also, this episode is really going to be all about digital DTG printing and stuff. We would love it if you would comment and let us know, if you use Brian's products or what your challenges are, that type of stuff, because we really want to help everyone out. That's the reason why Brian's here. So please drop us a note because we're going to get into some stuff, right? So
some cool stuff.
Yep.
Stuff. Hopefully.
All right. So, we got some more. So Charlie's here. Good morning, guys. This is Shane, right?
Mackie from
good to see you. Mike's here from California. Good to see you, buddy. Mark's here. Good morning, guys, from glorious rainy Dallas.
Would that be Mark Soldonic, newest member of the Academy? So congratulations.
Member of the Academy. Good to see you. And Melissa's here. Howdy, y'all. Good to see you, Melissa. Josh is here. Good morning, fellas. Oklahoma.
You know Melissa, Brian?
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Melissa, so you got to tell us where you're at because I'm not familiar where you're at, where you're from.
She's sitting about 20 feet over that side of the wall.
She's in Newfoundland. She's in Midville, Ohio. Then got it right.
Yeah. Dean's here. Good morning.
Works with Brian and Mark. Yeah.
Good seeing you. All right. So I think why don't we pay some bills, then we'll get back with some cool stuff.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's see. Which one am I running? I'm running this.
GSG, the combination of over half a century of knowledge with industry-leading technology and the customer at the center of everything that we do. Graphic Solutions Group is a powerhouse distributor of traditional screen, sign, wide format digital printing, embroidery, and textile decorating. We are committed to our customers, providing support, educational, and consulting services. Your success is our success. We've seen these industries grow and change in our 70 years. One thing never changes: GSG's dedication providing the best products and services available. We've been around, we'll be around, from the highs and the lows, standing right here with you. GSG, the right products, right away.
And thanks so much to GSG for sponsoring our show. We really appreciate them.
Absolutely.
And speaking of GSG, before we get into anything, we're having a Shirt Lab workshop on November the 30th that our good friend Mark Soldonic is helping us with. And this is all about how to match Pantone colors in screen printing. So if you just go to Eventbrite and look up how to match Pantone colors in screen printing, it'll come right up. This is going to be on November the 30th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And it's the best price ever, which is free. So huge shout out to Mark for putting that together, and our good friend Daniel, who's his trusty video assistant. And so it's going to be a really good workshop. And it's all about how to match a Pantone color in light and darks. Also, how to use a color spectrometer and learn all about the magic of Delta E. So lots of fun there. And so if you match Pantone colors in screen printing, this is going to be a really good thing for you. So get signed up. I know that Josh Wiley is already registered. He's beat you to it. So get in there and get registered. All right. So enough of that. So you had a booth, Brian, at Printing United. So give us your recap of how you thought the show went.
Oh, wow. After really technically, 3 years not doing the show, just because of all that thing that shall remain unnamed, it It actually was probably for us at least, the single best show in 21 years of doing trade shows. So
it's a big thing.
I don't know if it was because the pent up energy and demand and not being able to get to the shows. People hadn't been able to show off any new products, really over the past couple years. So it was a culmination. There was a lot of good people, a lot of good interactions, and it actually was really just generally, I thought, well attended, and a lot of great opportunities to meet people. And again, the energy was just, well, I don't know if it had anything to do with Vegas, but I mean, it was good. It was good.
I think too, you're right, Brian, and I'm not sure if it was pent up over 3 years. Plus, we've got to give a shout out to Josh Caruth. I think him and his team, a big step on the apparel side that I never thought SGI Printing United would do.
Yeah. I talked with him a couple days ago, and what they have planned for future apparel zone stuff, I think it's actually going to be really, really cool.
Good.
It's just going to be much better from the educational aspect of it across every sector of the apparel decorating industry.
Right. It, I spoke to Josh yesterday also, and we were talking on other things, what we can do. He was excited, and we got to give a thumbs up. So and here's from a manufacturer's point, everybody was there. And that's a big thing. You want people to come, you got to get all the players. They had all the players, and I think more fabric and apparel than I've ever seen at a Printing United SGI show before. Yeah. So for the apparel side, it was pretty in textile. It was good. So, yeah,
I love the show. I thought it was great. Lots of great networking. Lots of, I was super busy. We did our show from the podcast booth, and that was a lot of fun. So it's like, 2 thumbs up over here for me, and it's just great seeing everything and seeing a lot of people. I didn't get a chance to see everybody I wanted to talk to because
I didn't see you.
So many people there, and I was pulled in a million different directions. I don't know about you guys, but
I saw Brian for a minute.
Yeah, I know that was.
We were passing in the hall on our way both the places. It was for a second.
Once, and I didn't even see Marshall. It was that crazy busy, which was good. Next year it's going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
I like Atlanta though for a show. I've always done well.
Yeah, the World Congress Center is nice. You should book your hotel rooms now because it'll sell out.
A lot of them already are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it says a lot about shows. Could be interesting on how Long Beach turns out. I think
Long Beach is going to be massive.
It's going to be off the charts.
Yep. So yeah, it was good, and I'm hearing that from others. We'd love to know, if you're a manufacturer or a supplier, how was the show for you? If you were there, tell us what you thought, what you saw new. And Brian, we're going to talk about some new stuff you were showing me, and just basically we in our passing at time of talking, and it'll be exciting stuff. So
we got some comments. So Bruce says, if I can click the right button. Good morning from Tempe. Good to see you, Bruce.
Morning, Bruce.
Dean says GSG is a great company to work with. They're on it. They carry the Viper and Image Armor. Yeah.
And we will talk about that later.
And Charles says that's going to be a great seminar. Thanks, Charles. Get signed up.
Yep.
Josh says sign up already. Looking forward to this one. Good morning from Peter with M&R. Good to see you. Good to see you at the show. Dean says it's because I was there.
It was we didn't want to single that out, Dean, but it was because you were there. We were all thinking it.
Kim says it was his first time at Printing United, and it was amazing, definitely overwhelming. Thank you, Kim.
And Kim, I hate that I didn't see you. I don't think I did on there. You've been on the show, so I'm sorry I missed you.
Kim lives here in Phoenix, and what was funny is we were at the airport at the same time, but on different flights. So,
of course.
And I didn't see her either. I really wanted to. I was just caught up. David, hey, good morning, everybody. And
Mr. Eggers at the show.
Hall. And Terry, I want to let you know that my brother did buy me a bunch of drinks. So I know that was one of your comments last week. So he got me thoroughly boozed up. So
and that is not so Brian Marshall left, just so you know, Marshall left Vegas on Friday morning, went to Florida for his class reunion.
Yeah, my high school 40th class reunion was last week.
So, and his brother Tim, who's commented on the show, is a very high-end lawyer, but he's an idiot. He's hilarious.
And we got into some. He collects bourbon, and we got into some of it. So
understood. Enough said.
Yeah. Anyway, so enough of alcohol talk. So why don't we switch gears here and let's talk about just the DTG market in general. I know a lot of people have DTGs, and now we're seeing some DTF stuff coming in. And very curious from your perspective, how you see the market. Is it growing? Is digital growing? What do you see? Because I know you're all in on this.
Yes. Alan and I have talked about this.
Well, let me say, Brian has been all in on the digital market. He's the one that showed me at a show. He goes, I got to show you something. And I think it was Indianapolis or something years ago, the first DTG machine I ever saw. So to say Brian's all in is, he was in it. He was all in from the very beginning.
I'm sort of like one of the old men in the industry now, not as old as Alan.
Very few are as old as me. Charlie Marshall.
Well, he's been there since the dinosaurs. So
that's
why he knows so much.
Yep.
But I mean, it's Alan and I have talked about this quite a bit in the past, that it was sort of like when embroidery came along. You had screen printing and then embroidery. Oh, it's going to replace screen printing. It didn't. Transfers, totally replacing direct screen printing. It didn't. Direct to garment. Oh, it's going to replace screen printing. It didn't. What did each of these do to the market? Made it bigger. It gave more options for people to decorate just a variety of different things in different ways with different looks for specific applications. And I believe that that's sort of where DTF is at. And I don't know, was it you, Alan, that said when we talked that DTF, everybody in it is an early adopter at this point?
Yeah. You and I had that conversation. Yeah.
And it's true. It's like I've seen some people totally get out of direct to garment and just go DTF. And I sort of liken it to, what is your business model?
Yep.
And what are you doing? Some people will do, how do I want to put it? They may not have a specific direction, but those that are successful have a niche market that they're hitting. They have a great marketing. They have a great business. And, to say DTF is going to put DTG out of business is like saying DTG was going to put screen printing out of business. It widened the circle of what can and will be decorated and how it's decorated. Because each of these processes have unique characteristics that work for what it does. And, screen printing is great, high volume. You can do multicolor if you have a big enough press, but it takes a lot more to set up and tear down, whereas DTG obviously is throw it on and sort of go. And you can do a million colors on one shirt, or have a virtual inventory of millions of designs with no physical inventory. And I think that DTF widens the application of materials, how it can be done. You can gang up a whole bunch of little logos, which you can print those really quick, cut them out, do apparel tag, the label tags or on a sleeve or something like that. But I don't see DTF replacing DTG, DTG replacing screen printing, or DTF or any of that. it's just going to keep growing that decorating pie. And one of the estimates that I've heard, and I am definitely not an expert on this because I don't have access to the big boys and their numbers. Excuse me, but fun question. I don't know if I've ever asked this of you, Alan. How many shirts on average are sold in the US every year? Blanks
3.
for decorating.
3.
3.
No.
Yeah, just 3.
Yeah.
You know, and I asked that question, and you know, my best
I don't know.
guesstimates that I've heard are somewhere,
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
somewhere between 2 and 4 billion.
2 and 4 billion.
I didn't even know.
Think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. That's just blanks for decorating. Now, you may go, how the heck do you get that number? There's what, 350 million people in the US, give or take 325, 320. Well, if we round that down to, let's say 300 million, and you take out and you break it into segments of really young kids, middle age, you know, and I say youngsters to mid-age, and then you're mid-age and up. How many shirts do kids get in high school for anything that they do? They get a shirt for every sport, maybe multiple shirts. If you're into running road races and you run 5 to 10, 12 a year, you get a shirt pretty much for every race that you do. You know,
every sport, every theater, every
anything.
event.
I mean, on average, probably the average person picks up 10 to 15, 12 new t-shirts a year. I've gotten to the point where this is pretty much all I wear. Simple, you know, black. I almost gone Amish here, Alan. You know, it's one of those things where you have so many shirts in your drawer, you have to keep filtering through. But if you figure, you know, 300 million people, 10 shirts a year, add a 0 to 300 million.
Right.
That's some good logic. You know, I was looking up something last week or 2 weeks ago. You know, Shopify did $4.6 billion worth of sales last year.
Unreal.
Just that one platform alone.
Yeah.
And that's just one sales channel, right? So that's a lot of cheddar. That's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you're talking about garments. We're still not talking about anything that is cut and sew. Let's talk about promotional and everything else. It just adds to the decorated sphere.
It's so big.
It is.
And DTF right now is just a small little speck on it.
Yep.
DTG is just it's a couple of specks bigger. Screen printing and embroidery transfers are, you know, probably the bulk of general decorated, you know, apparel. When I say that, I'm talking your baseball teams, your like you said, your plays, anything from. I mean, just take a look at the apparel market for like Adidas, Nike, all these. I mean, just the sheer volume of corporate promotional apparel is mind-boggling. And that's what I guess excites me about the whole digital side of things is the flexibility of it. And we saw it at the show, the expansion of a lot of the bigger, even direct-to-garment businesses, or, you know, that produce volume type production. You had Oval Jet there, you had Rock, you had M&R, you had, who else am I missing on that? Cornette. You know, you had all these, there's so many bigger players that produce volume type equipment, and direct to garment is just scratching that surface. DTF is starting to come in from a different angle. And it's crazy what you're seeing these printers be able to do. Every 12 to 15 seconds, a different shirt color, different design, and on a different material.
Yeah.
We're approaching, you know, not necessarily quite as fast as screen printing when you're humping it, but for a full color, multicolor, whatever design change, a different shirt every time, wow. And then when you said about the Shopify, you look at a lot of these large online manufacturing facilities that have virtual inventories, and they're just printing something different on every shirt.
Yep.
It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. There's times where I go, man, I missed the boat. I should have built up a big DTG decorating on-demand print supply place.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. Everybody has their niche and what they're really good at. I'm still trying to figure that out.
You have a bunch of niches, man, that you're in within the industry and out.
You're in the niches, as they say.
He is. Well, and Brian, like I said, if you find one, your goal, I know your wife's asked you, why don't you ever sell a business? Because you'll just go start something else. And you've done that.
Yes. And unfortunately, every time you do that, it seems like it multiplies into additional businesses. Her birthday's coming up and I feel really bad. Typically, I would buy her something every year. I'm not going to say what it is. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it this year or last year, and I think she's probably okay with that. Wait, you don't want another business, honey?
Yeah. and printed garments are not good for her right now. She's well over that.
Yes, very.
I don't want an RTP apparel shirt.
Hey, we got some good comments. So Brian says, I heard from a manufacturer that they're thinking Long Beach will still be small.
I don't
think United.
No,
I disagree.
I can verify. Unfortunately, they did not have my correct email, and it was 2 weeks ago. I put in to get a booth. I'm in the far back left corner, as far as you can get from the entrance as possible.
Yeah,
that was the only booth left available for me.
Marshall, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to override you.
Yeah, the main show floor is sold.
What's up?
The main show floor. Not that I was scrolling down and hit the wrong button. My bad.
So Don says hello. Good to see you, Don.
Don is in Kansas City. I was just there to see her a couple days ago. So,
so Terry says your brother let me know he bought drinks. Told me he was a stellar man and brother. I don't know about that, but thanks. Hurley says I'm good because DTG and DTF can't print like I can print. That's true.
Brian Hurley,
there's a lot of dimensional stuff.
A lot of 3D, a lot of high density, incredible stuff.
Brian says, hey, Alan, stop by again next time you're around the area. Cheers.
I believe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in Akron, Ohio. Is this Mega Labs? I think that's who it is. I'll have to check.
Yeah, Brian, I'm still waiting for Alan to stop by and see me too.
I don't like you, Brian. I just want you on the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Chris says, great mindset to be in, Brian. Great question that no one thinks to ask. Those are massive numbers.
Absolutely.
And my goofy brother's here with all the icons. So thanks. I need some catalogs from Brian. I sent a lot of people to RTP.
Good job.
Thank you.
Melissa says no. Not sure what that's in reference to, but the riches and niches. Yep. Reach out to me. I can get you whatever you like. Dean at igrouptech.com. Brian says yes, sir. Pirate flag. That's awesome.
Okay, that's Akron. Yep, that was good.
Puff DTG now. I didn't see Puff DTG, Dean. I was hanging out in the meat booth. They didn't show me that. They showed me other stuff.
Brian, tell us about Puff DTG. This is new.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know a whole lot about it. I saw they were doing a lot of neat things there. I didn't have much time to get out of my booth.
Okay.
To really explore as much as what I wanted to. But like I said, I know there's a lot of really interesting developments that are going on in the direct-to-garment market. I believe that we're going to see probably over the next 12 to 25, I'll leave it at a 24-month range. We're going to see a lot of advancements, I think, on the end of inks, production speeds, the equipment end of things, that it's going to, I think, really impact the industry. Just from the sheer aspect that we'll be able to produce more higher quality, faster, at less expense. So, typically in the past, direct to garment has been, comparatively more expensive than screen printing.
Well, what did I always say, especially when we were selling machines together? The best thing about direct to garment is your ink costs are fixed. The worst thing about direct to garment is your ink costs are fixed. No matter,
And a lot of these machines, not all of them, but the higher end ones, I mean, they're like, you could buy a really nice house for what they charge, right? So,
yes, but again, it goes back.
Is 100 to 150, maybe high end 200. Some of them go up to 400, or close to that range. So it's very interesting. The big debate is, do we get 6 or 7 or 9, cheaper printers in a pod, or do we buy the big thing? People run all the numbers and the math on that. What do you think about that, Brian? I'm sure you've done some research on that.
You do a pros and cons on both, and you could go either. I believe that I could go either way. There's something to be said for something that's dedicated, that can just pump everything out. However, if you have an issue, you only have one line, you're down. Yep. If you have a bunch of smaller, less expensive machines, you have more redundancy. Your ink cost is going to probably be higher. However, you also need a lot more maintenance and manpower to manage that. And I think that's really where it comes down to what is best for your niche, what market you're trying to hit. You take a look at a lot of these large screen printing shops that have massive numbers of screen printing machines. I'm sure in the near future, and we're already there. I mean, we've been in some shops where they've had hundreds of those smaller DTG type printers, and they printed 25,000-30,000 shirts a day. I'm sure we're going to see large shops with those, $500, $400, $500, $800,000 DTG printers in them, with multiple ones of those outputting hundreds of thousands. So if you take a look at it, I think that's really sort of where the industry is heading. Is you've got those two separate veins, and it depends on what the owner wants to do, what their business model is, and what they want to put into it. Most people get started off with a bunch of small units, or they start off with one and then build up and maybe get a couple, and then they might upgrade or whatever. And it really comes down to space requirements, labor requirements. There's something to be said for simplicity in having a bunch of small ones, but there's also something to be said for the efficiency of a single dedicated unit. And I sort of flip-flop between the two. And we sort of talk about this at the shows with people when they're looking to get pre-treat machines, or what they're trying to do. Do I get a beginner, the low end model? Do I get the expensive one? And it's sort of like, what's your business model? What are you doing currently? You can always upgrade. But I have to laugh. I was thinking about this, Alan. When I was screen printing and I got started, and you saw what I started with.
Oh, yeah.
And then I upgraded to my first real manual press, which that was an
Antec, wasn't it?
Yeah. No. My first one was a Catco.
Oh,
I remember when Impressions magazine was this thick.
That was the one you sold to Matt Perot. And Marshall, Matt from
I gave it to him.
From Bold Merchandise up in Canada. Me, you, and Tom Rowan all had dinner a few years ago at Long Beach. So yeah.
Yeah. And that I had that sitting in the corner, and I gave that to, Matt was part of a band
called Hocus Pick.
And they came through, and it was sort of their farewell tour. And we'd known them for quite a while. And I asked them what they were all going to do. And Matt said, I'm going to start probably printing T-shirts. And I'm like going, here you go.
There you go.
There you go. I got to get this. I don't need it anymore. It's sitting in the corner, and that's how he got started.
Yep.
And you know,
And
he
has 3 or 4 automatics now.
Now. But that's what I'm saying. You sit and you look back at where you're at now, and you look back 5 years, and you go, "Oh my God, how did I get along doing what I did?" But you found what you did it. And I liken that sort of to the direct to garment market, or even the DTF. You know, and you and I talked about that.
Right.
The DTF is sort of like the beginners. It's the early adopters stage.
It is.
And there's so many different pieces to the puzzle, and everybody's trying to make this puzzle, but they're all different puzzle pieces, not from the same manufacturer necessarily or anything like that. So trying to find what works best, and that's going to evolve. And I can see some really unique things happening with that in the future. And actually probably a combination of DTF and DTG, sort of like a hybrid type thing. So
you're seeing that already, because companies like Equipment Zone, you know, they'll sell you that Epson, and then they'll also say, hey, you can buy the adhesive and just put it in a cookie sheet thing, and you can add the glue to the back of the transfer when you print it, right?
You can do that now. You can't necessarily do it easily with the standard, like the Epson Garment Creator or any of the other stuff. You really need a good RIP software package that lets you really control the printer. And that's where we're going to see, I think, a lot of growth. Like you said, you know, that hybrid type thing, you can do that now, but I'm talking even more integrated. I can see a variety of different things happening in the next 2 to 3 years with that people haven't even really thought about yet. And that's kind of the exciting thing. There's a lot of neat things that we're living in an exciting time. As long as the world doesn't blow up in one big poof, you know, we're going to see a lot of neat things happen. And the Printing United was a great place to see a lot of that, because you can see new things.
So I heard that Ricoh was coming out with a DTG printer that doesn't use pretreat.
Correct.
Got some other thing they're doing, and they didn't have it at the booth, and I didn't go over there. I just heard a rumor from
they had it.
They had it reads. They had it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you know, this is very interesting, and so Dean here has a great comment. Pod setups are smart for redundancy. If you have 1 of 20 machines go down, you have 19 left, and you can keep moving. If one massive machine goes down, you're screwed.
But I will also throw on the other side of that is the bigger machines are set up. It is, I mean, that is true. But again, I guess that's what you have to take a look at. What fits for your business model? You know, with one bigger machine, I might be able to get away with 3 operators, maybe 2 operators, maybe even 1 operator, technically. You could put 1 at the end of the conveyor dryer, 1 loading and unloading, versus 19. And then I have to worry about pre-treating those, how many people employed there, how many pre-treaters, people running the machines, that, you know, so there's a lot of.
Well, if you've got the right equipment, I mean, I see a lot of the synergy system and stuff like that, where you've got one person doing the pre-treat, and then there's usually one person running 4 or 5, sometimes 6 in the pod, and they're just going from one printer to another. And I've seen that a lot in shops that I've visited. And so there's really like maybe 2 or 3 people per pod, depending on their skill level and amount of hustle they have, you know. And
but also the ink cost on the bigger machines typically is significantly lower than the individual machines. That's why I said it's one of those, if you're at that point, yes, I mean, you're doing a lot of evaluating, and but most small shops, most small shop, and you know, those bigger shops, I would say in comparison to the small, mid-size and smaller shops, I'm going to take a guess. I guess it'd be sort of like screen printers. What, maybe 5% are the really big shops versus the mass, which would be
even that many.
Yeah, I think it's less than that here in the States.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what I'm saying. That big shop setup is different. Screen printing, and I'll go into even DTG. That market pool of customers is much smaller than the bigger base. And to get to this big, unless you have millions of dollars to throw right at it, a lot of them start off as smaller shops and build up. So I think a lot of it comes down to what people are used to and comfortable with. But making that jump to a single line, a lot of it, I think, can come down to consumable cost. Because if you compare what they're paying versus what you'd be paying as a mid-sized small shop, it's a significant savings.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall, that picture that Dean sent me, I emailed to you right now.
Oh, okay. I'll see if I can get it up. So, Dean says that I sent you a Facebook that I took a picture. So we'll do that. And then our good friend Ray's here. So, and
we have to remember, because I looked at the picture, it is a true puff. And there's a difference between puff and HD. And so now as you start getting layering on it to get higher, now they can start collapsing in on detail. So it just gets a little weird because puff expands all over the place, not just up. And so you start getting into a little bit more. It will be interesting. And I'd like to know, is this done? Well, because they're running through dryers now, they're not always on a transfer machine. So that's the deal. And
there you go. That's it.
And I expanded it in. And so, of course, you probably saw I'm looking at it. I'm like, get me a camera loop. Yeah. So it looked pretty nice. It was impressive.
That's what I say. There's going to be a lot of really unique things we're going to see, just as, we saw over the years with expansion in screen printing inks,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Reflective, puff, HD, how you print the HD and all that. We're going to see a lot of, on the digital side, I think a lot of parallels.
The different shades of bases and stuff, from rock base to gloss to everything. Yeah. And I think, we say it's a long time, but Brian, when you first showed me that first machine had to be 2002, 2003, and you started researching for your company, and you were not an early adopter, but you were second generation where, okay, let everybody work all the freaking bugs out and die. And you know what? That's the sad thing Brian and I were talking about. Marshall, you and I did. Everybody that was an early adopter that was making direct-to-garment machines, I don't know any of them are around.
Yeah.
Brother.
See, but I don't consider brother early adopter. The Japanese, Japanese never create anything. They are master copiers. So they let everybody else early adopt, and then they do it better. And that's what they did with the GT541.
Yeah.
The inks were better. They were more expensive at the time.
I had one of those.
The inks were better. They were more stable. It was incredible. And yeah, that was it. And so, it's always weird. You start looking at history, and that's my only fear with DTG or with DTF is that we're early adopters. Who will be left in the mix? Will they learn from history? And yeah, don't get so much wrapped up into into the process as they are as, I guess, the technology, the entrepreneurial spirit and stuff. And
so we need to do a commercial because this is such a good topic. We're going to run out of time here.
We did a commercial.
So everybody should go to GSG and get their Pulse magazine. And today we want to feature, because
again,
Brian's sitting here, the Image Armor pre-treatment solution that he manufactures. So because you're here, Brian, give us the lowdown on this stuff.
All right. Well, Image Armor pre-treatments are designed, obviously, for direct-to-garment printing. Mm-hmm. The light shirt formula is designed for white and light color garments that are CMYK printed. That's another whole episode in and of itself, mm-hmm. because we can get into dot gain and all sorts of fun stuff and secondary and tertiary colors and where a lot of the industry gets stuff wrong. But it allows for sharper, crisper images, brighter vibrancy, better colors. The Ultra that's listed there, and we just came out with right before SGIA another version called Platinum. Those are designed for white ink printing and are great. That works great with all of the direct-to-garment printers out there on the market, except for really the Kornit printers. So Brothers, Epsons, any of the standard DTG printers on the market. It provides ease of application, typically great results. That's why we're kind of excited about our newest launch. We typically can use less pre-treatment, get smoother prints, less issues on a lot of the problematic colors like tri-blends and like baby blues and some of those other traditionally difficult to print colors. And with GSG carrying it, that, you know, and there are multiple locations, it makes a great avenue for people, if they haven't tried it, to check out GSG, and they can pick up the Image Armor products right there from their website.
So if I've got a machine, can I use the dark for everything? And like, how do I? So I don't switch?
No. Typically, pretty much, if you're printing with white ink, you want to use the Ultra or Platinum. If you're just doing CMYK, and it's kind of interesting, you can actually use our light shirt formula on like a white polyester and get, I mean, it looks like sublimation. It really holds it. You know, we're printing water-based inks on a polyester, which typically wants to whip moisture away.
Yep.
So what the pre-treatment light shirt formula does there, just in general, is allows you to hold the dots so you get a really sharp and crisp image. But no, you would want to use anytime you do white ink printing, you would use like the Ultra or Platinum. If you're just doing CMYK, you would typically use the light shirt formula.
Okay. Well, this is a good
simple.
segue into poly and DTG, and you guys have been doing some stuff. So talk about that.
Yes, everybody's looking for that magic bullet of, hey, do you have a pre-treatment that will even print the shirt for me? You know, I'm being really, sarcastic.
Yeah. The best white. It's in a bucket. We know you have it. Share it with everybody. No, it's a secret. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's, and that's what's with the release of our new Platinum. We've really, I believe, upped the pre-treatment game. Softer hand feel. You can use less. There's less discoloration. What a lot of people forget, or they don't even really think about, because you just pull a shirt, you print it, right? Mm-hmm. Most people don't think about the back end of what actually goes into making a shirt. Polyester is, I mean, my gosh, Alan, from way back, printing polyester sucked.
It still does. Yeah.
It still does. But that's the interesting thing. Why does it suck? If you're printing red, what do you face? What issues?
Bleeding and dye migration.
Exactly. And the problem,
and distortion of a shirt usually too, if you get it too hot. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a man-made fiber basically. Mm-hmm. So, it's not like cotton. So that being said, a lot of the polyester shirts can be very inexpensive. They cut a lot of corners in the manufacturing process. They use poor dyes.
Right.
And that's why you won't wash a typical red polyester shirt in with a bunch of white socks or underwear or shirts. Why? Because the dyes are going to bleed out onto everything else and turn it all pink.
You now have your breast cancer awareness apparel then.
Yeah.
There we go.
And that's, that is a big problem, because everybody wants, in direct to garment at least, everybody wants that magic bullet of pre-treatment to take Calgon, take my issues away type thing. And it's not going to happen. The pre-treatments in and of themselves can't necessarily always overcome the issues associated with deficiencies in the manufacturing of the garment itself. So what we've done is we've sort of bent the curve a little bit, I guess you could say. And the RTP apparel line of ready to print shirts, so you don't have to pre-treat. Because my big joke with pre-treating is we're sort of like the black sheep of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to pre-treat. It's like screen reclaiming in screen printing.
Right.
The least fun portion of it, you never wear anything good because you're going to ruin it. Pre-treating, it can be messy, sticky, this and that. You know, machines make it a lot better. It's a necessary evil to get the correct foundation so you can print properly.
Absolutely.
But so the RTP apparel line, we've figured out how to manufacture a great looking shirt. It feels great, washes great, and all you do is you preheat it to get rid of moisture and go straight to your DTG printer. And that works great. So we decided and took that one step further. The biggest pain in everybody's proverbial DTG keister has been polyester. We want to do polyester. Well, the problem is always pre-treatment stain boxes and dye migration. Dye migration, you know, most inks typically in the DTG realm are similar to your standard plastisol, 320, 325. You know, a lot of people will cure 356 or give or take for 35 seconds or 325 for 90 seconds, whatever. It's a time temperature pressure for transferring the heat to actually kick over and cure the inks, just as it is in screen printing.
Yeah.
So all those dyes will start to dye migrate at a much lower temperature. And the ink chemistry, it's getting better for like low cure type stuff, but it's still not there. And what we ended up doing was we actually created this shirt here is a 100% polyester shirt. This has been washed. And this one was, I think we heat pressed this one for like 2 minutes at 345 degrees. And I mean, you can see the white is still white.
Is that an RTP shirt?
That is our new RTP Hero shirt. Hence,
cool.
Be a hero.
Hence the name and the logo.
Okay. That will not die. It is 100% dye migration, bleed resistant with any direct to garment ink on
nice
that's out there, except for Cornette. I'm pretty sure probably would work with Cornette, but I haven't had a chance to test it yet.
Right.
But you can also screen print on this with any screen printing ink, and it will work also. You don't need the heavy dye blockers and all that stuff to keep it from, because at the Printing United, we wanted to get something tested, and I ran over and harassed Charlie, said, hey, do you have that? And they were running, Charlie was doing his on the manual, and then M&R had something set up for printing. So we threw a couple of shirts on the automatic, ran it through. I think the dryer was set for like 900 degrees for whatever, 30 seconds, whatever time frame it was.
So that was 900 degrees. It's
surface temp.
At the panel temperature, but not the garment temperature.
Yeah, 900 surface temp. So, but it got it up above the standard cure temp of the ink, 325 or whatever.
Right.
And came out white as white can be. We have that posted up on some of our social media. That's still in the box coming back to us from the show. But
that will be interesting, Brian. I would love to have a picture, because a shirt heated in a box. Now it's like you're attempting it to please dye migrate on me.
Usually where the dye migration happens is in the UPS truck.
Yep.
On the way to the client.
In Vegas at 112 degree heat. Awesome.
Yeah. Alan Howe, here's the dryer in the picture. And hopefully this one goes through to you. I tried sending it it's not going through. So I'll have the email to you.
Email do you have for me?
No, this was, I think, your text, but
okay.
So we got a couple of comments. Let's get to them. So Ray says a lot of cost savings between big and small shops is noted is buying structure volume discounts. Of course. Dean says perhaps puff is the wrong word. It's density. It's just the beginning, though. More to come.
I'm going to disagree from the shots I seen. I was looking at, Dean. looks like it's puffing in all directions.
Yeah.
So that would be a true puff of a puff agent. So
yeah.
But I don't know. I mean,
Right.
just from the pictures, I was looking at the edges and it looks like it's puff.
Right. Well, if you look and see, they're kind of rounder instead of sharp. It's definitely puff.
It'd be interesting on a high density to be able to keep the line straight, because that's where the thick stencil comes in. So this would be interesting. But I also remember Brian, now working with him, you know, our office was in the same, we had desks across from each other. And Brian was famous. We've heard about Joe Clark's famous inventions on napkins. I remember Brian, where we were at, all of a sudden we're at lunch and he starts sketching something. I go, what are you doing? And it's like the sketch of a print head. How could we do plastisol on there? And I'm like, what? And Marshall, you know, I'm not a visionary thinker. And my job was, I'm throwing why it won't work out there. He's going, no, but this, no, but that. I'm like, unreal.
Great.
So, yeah.
So thanks, Dean. Neon inks as well. It's going to be cool.
That would be cool too, because neon inks at least in screen, the pigments are bigger.
Yeah. Well, it's going to help
you. Cool.
Well, it's going to help you with your Pantone matching too, right? So if you have a bigger color gamut,
but bigger pigments going through a print head, that'd be interesting.
So Charlie says we're going to try our hand in 3D DTF next week. The goal is to keep the lift after pressing.
Okay, cool.
Ray says there's a huge worry with early adoption that the early chemistry or hardware is accepted as standard too quickly, too much mass to change, and then better tech and chemistry comes along. This happened with graphic inkjet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Skyly polyester cloth that does not migrate dye exists, but not affordable for a low-cost garment.
Agreed.
The dyes are sublimated into the threads. And there's Augusta has that. There's a term for that. I can't remember.
It's called catalytic dyes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think it's catalytic dyes. Cationic, yeah. And but they're high, but that's where, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where like you hear shirts that have them, they'll use terms like Sanmar's Posi-Charge or high-end dyes and stuff like that. So yeah.
And we took ours. The way we do stuff is way different than even what the big boys are doing, which makes it very interesting because we're one of the early companies and leaders, I guess, innovators in this space. We're the only ones really with a true 100% dye resistant. It won't dye migrate.
Right.
It's fully, you can print anywhere on it, and it prints phenomenal. Now you have to print slightly different. We have stuff up on our website about that, just because polyester is a whole different animal. But it's going to be very interesting. We've got a lot of big plans for things, and this is only version 1 of our shirts. My whole goal is to see the entire industry have a shirt that can be DTG or screen printed or whatever. So if you're running a shop, and a lot of shops do screen printing and direct to garment and direct to film,
absolutely,
that way you just pull a single shirt and you go at it. And that's my vision for the bigger masses of everything.
That's a great
because that's the thing. It's not either or. And Brian, when we first started with the GT54, it was very much, I'm a screen printer, I'm a digital. I remember I wrote that article, DTG. They wanted me to write the article DTG versus screen, and I refused. I told them I'll do it, but I refused to do it as one or the other.
Well, I wrote an article that I think it was screen printing as a lion, DTG as a cheetah, or something like that.
Right.
Where there are two different animals and you can't compare them, right? Because they both have different attributes and uses and methodologies and processes and everything. And so, and this is back when DTG was coming out. And the idea here is, and it's still true, where screen printers just turn their nose up at stuff because it's not screen printing. It has a different hand. It has a different whatever.
Maximal.
And it's just a label. And so my way of looking at it is, Well, get rid of the label and start talking about you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, and there's business use cases for this stuff. And then how can you maximize the potential of the technology to make more money? And who cares if it's not screen printing?
Your client doesn't care.
Exactly.
And that's mine. And the article in mine this was Printwear Magazine, I think. Gosh, Brian, it had to be what, 2009, probably 2008. And I said this, I used the term going, you're not a screen printer, you're not a garment decorator, you're not a direct garment, you're a garment decorator. Whether it's DTG or transfer or screen or embroidery. What is the best way for your customer at a profit? Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole key thing. You got to make a profit. What are you in? What if not? What are you in this for? If you're just doing it for fun and as a hobby, which is what a business is that doesn't make money really. You're in it to make money and find the best, most efficient way that you can make as much as you can. I mean, that's really why.
Because we're not communists, we're capitalists.
Yep.
We're capitalists. We're capitalist pigs over here.
And we are proud of it, too. We are very proud of it to be capitalists.
Wow.
So Anthony, by the way, is testing your shirts. He says they look very impressive. They look great after the wash.
Anthony, are you testing them? I'd love to know are you testing them in screen or direct to garment? I'd love to know, Brian, screen printers. This is something I think I would love to get some. And when I come down to Akron to see the guys there, I will stop by, Brian. I'd love to set up with a client and maybe test some shirts. Yeah. This could be a fun thing.
Yes, that's why I said, and this is our first generation. We've sort of already figured out how to improve a bunch of stuff. And that's what excites me. It's so if anybody out there has $50 million that wants to really accelerate the development.
Ray Greenwood's on there. Ray, get your checkbook. Yeah.
It's funny. It's sort of like flying. You know, you can always go faster. All it takes is money.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, bigger plane, faster plane.
So as my Uncle Bill, his great quote is, money greases the skids of life.
Yep.
And it can slide you into a whole bunch of bad things too.
Yeah. So Dean says, you're correct, Alan. It tapers up to a cone. It's not straight vertical. I should took some more pics. Cornette does have neon inks already with the new machine.
I have heard that, Dean, that they do have it. I have seen it, and it's looking good. It's just going to be interesting as it gets more to a mass market where you don't have a Cornette machine.
And we're running out of time here, so I want to make sure we get all the comments. Yep. And so Ray says, look for low density, high temperature silicone foam that can cover their print while you press. This prevents over flattening.
Cool.
And Dean says, I've sent you pics of the RTP 2000 regular plastic ink.
And Dean, I did see that. Brian sent me pics too. So thank you guys.
And Terry says, I'll get back with you, Brian, when I win the Powerball lottery this weekend. Thanks. All right. Well, cool.
Appreciate that.
So you can check out Brian's apparel at rtpapparel.com. Weren't you selling this with Sanmar or somebody also?
No.
One Stop does carry them.
One Stop Supply out of Michigan. All right.
Yes, we would love to get in with some of the big guys, and we're open to discussions with anybody.
So Frank Good, if you're watching and not commenting, let's get SNS Activewear to stock it.
Yeah, Frank.
We would love that. We've got the cool thing is with all of the, we have long sleeves that I can't see maybe.
It's black.
It's black.
Yeah.
But we have long sleeves. We have 13 different colors in our regular shirt. We have some women's racerbacks. We have kids shirts. This is sort of the future that is going to, I think, really change the industry and make it more mainstream because like I said, nobody likes the pre-treating side of it. And
what is the extra cost to the shirt? So let's say the normal shirt's $4 or $3 or whatever. What is the cost for that typical T-shirt for RTP?
It depends. Going through the pandemic, it was crazy the price of between the container costs, which were $3,000 pre-pandemic to $30,000 just for the container. And then the price of cotton went up dramatically also. But right now we have our black shirts on sale that are the same price as an equivalent higher quality shirt. These aren't your standard low thread counts.
They're a higher end shirt. Yeah,
well, ATG works best with a 30 singles anyway because of the density of the fabric. So
correct. So, and that's what all of our shirts are, 30 singles. And so right now it's about the same, but on average, it would be about the same or less than what it would cost you to pre-treat it yourself. But the whole shirt is pre-treated everywhere. And most people think, well, I can pre-treat that for, 30 cents or 40 cents. And it doesn't, I'm doing it myself, so I don't charge for my labor. And this, and I'm like,
wrong.
Yeah. What'd you say, Alan?
Right there. Wrong.
Thank you.
You may
That's
not charge for it, but it's costing you.
Labor, time, overhead, heat, cooling / floor space / everything else associated with it. There's expenses associated with it outside of the material cost. And a lot of people don't think about that. So typically it'll be on average anywhere from sometimes about the same price as a regular shirt to $50 to $1 more. But that's what you're going to have wrapped up in treating it yourself anyways, typically.
All right. You got a customer in Sweden. Let's ship some stuff to Ghost.
Well, Brian, you have dealers in Europe, correct?
Yeah. For RTP, check out, if you go to our website at rtpapparel.com, we have Australia, the US, and Europe. And Souls over out of France, out of Paris, is actually our sister company per se. They handle everything RTP Apparel Europe, and they're working on doing a lot of different things this year too. I know. So
there you go.
But Gosta, check it out. It's some good stuff.
When we do Q&A in Uppsala with Gosta with Charlie, and Brian's gonna have to come with us then. It'll be fun.
Yeah, right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, hey, we got to be respectful for time here, so we're over. So thanks everyone for joining us, and huge shout out Brian for coming on today and talking about your stuff. We really appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys having us. It's been fun. We didn't get into the very good story as to why I got into this industry.
We got to go. We're out of time. We don't want to talk about this right now. This is Alan's story. So
something about kids in Pittsburgh and bootleg print
firearms or something. There
was a bootleg print shop that I took Brian to see an automatic on there. And Brian, you do have the VHS videotape still.
I still have it. And the guy goes, and kids, this is why I do what I do. And he flashes a $50,000 check in front of the camera.
All bootleg stuff. I mean, they had the holograms, everything on it. University of Miami when that was big in the 80s and all that. So,
but that was another whole story for another time.
Yeah, but you know what? Without that, there's no RTP. There is no image armor.
Yes, that's the crazy. That's why I said when you look back at the trail that your life takes, it's really fun, unique. Even the good, even the bad stuff that happens. That's what shapes you, and makes you who and where you are today.
Yeah.
And remember that you're setting up your will and trust.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys having us on.
We gotta go. So thanks everyone. Appreciate you, and we'll check you guys next week.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Don't leave us, Brian.